Brett really likes to make me uncomfortable by making me be alone. There he is. Oh boy. Hi.
Hello.
It's your mom.
My mom?
Yeah.
Oh, hey. Hi, Mom.
We're just waiting for our invite from Kathy and Jean.
Susan Cardinal, 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's your mom.
I know.
And Olivia should be getting on soon too.
Yes.
Hello.
We did it.
How's it going?
It's good. We have Olivia trying to log in so she can help us because we're challenged.
Because, like, I don't even know how this is going to work because I've never done it before. But can you see people coming in and you'll see, like, do you see scrolling?
No, I don't see any
Okay,
of that.
so
It just
you
shows
don't
me.
see. Okay, so get Lily's phone and then sign in on her account, and then you can see what's happening.
Okay,
You might
that's what
not see
Olivia's
what's
doing
happening otherwise. What?
now. That's what Olivia's doing right now. She's on top of
She's
it.
so smart. Yeah, she is. Okay, so let's join. I'm going to join from my mother's iPad, which she stepped on.
Hi, Kathy.
Totally.
Oh no,
Uh-oh.
I know. Yeah, that happened. Yeah.
that's about what Olivia's tablet looks
It's
like
working.
too.
Okay, so let's see if I can get my mom to join Kathy's live.
You got it, Mom?
And then Lily can be like your moderator.
There we go.
Okay, Jesus.
I don't want to watch mine. There we go.
Oh, there we go, live. Okay, there she is. Now I can see what's happening. Okay, this is amazing.
I don't do any of this
Oh.
stuff. She does it all. I just talk.
Our mother just joined. Watch your language.
Both of our moms are on too.
Is she?
I'm all watching. Her mom's right here.
Our mother just joined. Watch your language.
Both of our moms are on too.
That is so cute. They're going to be so proud of us.
I know. I was watching the YouTube video this morning to be able to get gearing on. I was like, we can do this. We've got this.
Yeah. Okay, so people are starting to come. Oh, totally. Okay, so I wanted to kind of, because people know who we are, Kathy and Jean, but they don't know Georgia and Brett quite as well. I wanted to kind of, because oh, it's very terrible because I'm getting like that lag. I have to stop.
Yeah, that's, we made Olivia turn it down. So
okay,
so
okay, forget that. But anyway, Georgia and Brett, so the way these lives work is people come and people go, so you might have to explain your situation numerous times. So
hey,
anyway,
that's what we do all day long.
Exactly.
I'll forget that I
So
did
do
it
it again.
Yes.
So go, you have the floor. Tell us.
So this is Brett, my
Hello.
husband, and I'm Georgia. And Brett was diagnosed with stage 3 now. We found out.
They changed it from 4 to 3, so it's some good news.
Yeah.
He actually always kind of thought it was 3, but they attacked. Anyways, he has a brain tumor. They actually are 4 different lesions. We found out in January of this year after he had a seizure while he was driving home from visiting for New Year's Eve. And thankfully enough, he was able to pull over even though he was in the middle of having a seizure off the freeway, and woke up in a hospital. And we found out with the CTs that there was masses. CTs led to the MRI. MRI led to a biopsy, and found out brain cancer. And then our whole entire world just kind of went like that.
Yeah.
Everything pretty much changed.
Yeah. We went.
What
from
was your
being
initial like reaction to that?
I think that I had a little bit more wherewithal of what was going on because Brett
I was in the hospital on a lot of IV for the broken shoulder that I had when they tied me down during the seizure. So I was really out of it during the whole being told what was kind of going on. So really wasn't that bad for me in the beginning. It was
Yeah.
way worse for her.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
The first thing, because he had broken, so he had the seizure, woke up because of COVID. He had a mask on and he was tied down because he had been combative while they were trying to get him out of his car. He didn't know what was going on. So he
Yeah.
broke the ball off of his humerus and lodged it
Oh.
back and destroyed his shoulder. So the first day that he was in the hospital, that was the first surgery, was shoulder reconstruction. So then it was by the second day that he actually had the craniotomy. So there was kind of like multitudes of things that was going on. So I found out while I was at work, which was, I don't know why I went to work. I think I went because I didn't think it was going to be brain cancer. Like I just felt like, you know, he had masses and we'll figure it out. And
Yeah.
I have a family friend who had a tumor years ago who it was benign and they took it out and she has been living a normal life for 7 years. So anyways, the doctor was very straightforward and very little bedside manner and just told me point blank that it looked like it was brain cancer. Actually told me if I had to go to Vegas and bet Vegas odds, I would say it was brain cancer. So I just kind of, okay. And then I called my boss and I told her what happened. And by the end of that conversation, I realized I had woken up and I was on the floor outside of my shop because I had just completely passed out because it was like, how do you even start to process something like that?
I had this really good friend of mine. He lost his son in a horrible tragedy where one son had a psychotic break and murdered the other son. And they were super close. And he described it as like, you know, when you're pregnant and you wake up in the morning and one of the first things you think as you're kind of coming back to consciousness is, oh my God, I'm pregnant. It's something you think about and then you start your day. And he said when he lost his son like that, it was like he'd wake up and some concrete truck just poured a bunch of concrete straight into his brain. That grief, that fear, it was just like, holy fuck, you know? Like you get a diagnosis like that, you're young, Brett, you're 40 years old, Brett, you just...
He'll be 40 on Saturday.
40 on Saturday, newly married, kids.
Yep.
You know, that's, you know, like scary shit. Like, you know,
glioma. Well, and the scariest thing was, so he was up in Clovis, which is about an hour away from us. We had the craniotomy and the for that. So we're going to pick him up, and nobody's actually told me yet the word GBM or glioblastoma. Nobody said that to me yet. They were just telling me like brain cancer. And I think that I did what most people do, which is I didn't Google things in the beginning because I was afraid of it. Retrospectively, I wish I would have because I didn't have the understanding and I didn't have the right questions that I needed to be asking because I was ignorant of things for my own self-preservation. And so he comes out and he tells me, the nurse told me I have a glioblastoma and that I should make a bucket list.
Jeez.
And I was like, who is this nurse? Give me his phone number. Like, what? What are you even talking about? Like, that's fun for him. Like, we're going to go ahead and go home and continue to fight because this is not. And then after that, he ended up having a stroke. Everything swelled really bad. And fun fact, you have no pain receptors in your actual brain. So anytime you have like major like a headache, it's the swelling. So he had a brain bleed and then the tumor was causing so much swelling that we were back and forth in the hospital for like the first freaking week and a half. It was the most scariest times of our lives. I mean, he just sat for hours just moaning and we didn't know he was on a fentanyl patch, Dilaudid. I mean, all this stuff. Thank God we spoke with Dr. Linda Lau from UCLA, who's like the leading in glioblastoma on the West Coast. My brother's girlfriend used to deliver the cancer medication for his patients years ago. She did all the legwork, gets us all the info. We get to talk with her and she's like, you need to up his steroids. We upped his steroids and we were able to get him off of all the pain medication because his swelling went down. So all the pain went down. But it was like, you find out the diagnosis, you have no idea what to do, and the pain and everything on top of it. It was just like, what the hell is going on? And I'm an anxious, neurotic human being anyways. I have like anxiety to the max all the time. Now my anxieties are justified. Now I have a reason to be anxious all the time.
You're welcome.
It really excites those agitation neurons, that's for sure. Well, I
Oh
mean,
my
like I
God.
know, at least with Kathy, she has no pain. It's
No,
something
yeah.
I'm grateful for, that Kathy won't suffer like that kind of headache pain. Like, is that a
I
big
was
part of
just
it,
gonna
Brett?
ask, is there like things like that that come along with the diagnosis on early onset that's painful at all, or it's just kind of like, oh, I forgot this, or kind of just misplacing things?
So what it's like for me is that every day a little piece of me falls away, but I'm still doing the TikToks and I'll continue doing them until I'm dead.
Yeah. Isn't it weird how it just gives you a purpose? These TikToks, like getting up and sharing, just really gives you a purpose.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've done a ton of research and I know a lot about what's happening to me.
And it's
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
which has been empowering for you, but it's also really strange for Kathy and I just to see how people like, you read the comments and it's like, you're great, you're so beautiful, it's like, what? Where have you been all my life?
Honestly.
I need applause now wherever I go.
Hey, you guys are stars. Are you kidding me? I
Right?
used to actually follow you guys before all of this happened. I was on TikTok and I followed you guys before because I just loved you guys. Your relationship with each other is so genuine. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's funny because I liked it before. And now being a caregiver to a loved one, I can understand it like so much more. It's so much
Yeah.
more of a partnership. Like there is
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
Kathy without Gene. To me, right
Yeah.
now
That's
there is
correct.
no Brett without Georgia. Like I come along with him because we are the team together, you
Yeah.
know? And I think with
Yes.
brains, you have to have a teammate. You have to.
You do.
Yeah.
I need one. I'll
Yeah.
forget everything.
What did you say?
Because he
What
needs
is-
one or he'll forget everything.
That's right. We always tease Kathy about it too. I mean, one thing that we really love about your account is the humor of it, the lack of, I mean, you like, it's sad sometimes, like it's a totally devastating situation, but it's also fucking hilarious in many ways.
Oh yes.
You know, like,
So check this out. Brett wanted to be retired before 40, right? Well, now he's medically retired. And
Congrats,
we
Brett.
laugh and say, oh, I just want to sit around and smoke weed with you all day long and do nothing.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
here
That's
we
what
go.
we do.
That's what we do. And so it's like that movie with Brendan Fraser where the genie came along to where you get what you wanted, but it just doesn't quite
Didn't-
look
Yeah.
how you
Yeah.
thought you were going to get it.
Didn't
Yeah.
quite get as specific as I
Exactly.
needed to with those wishes, man. It's
Yeah.
wanted to
Totally
retire by
agree.
40,
Yeah.
but healthy.
Yeah.
So I
So-
want to ask Brett a question. So Brett,
Yep.
what's the hardest, like, okay, so you said you had a rough few days.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Is it symptoms or?
These last few were more so just kind of emotional.
Yeah.
Sort of just not really feeling like a whole lot of purpose, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just
It's
a
tough.
lot of monotony.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going
Oh.
to go ride my motorcycle. That's really what I
That's
want to
good.
go do.
Hi, Lucy.
So
One of your posts, you said you were talking about initial symptoms of the tumor.
yeah.
You scared the hell out of me. Thanks. Because you said, I started banging into doors. I'm like, shit. All the time.
Don't worry. We laugh about brain like going to get like scanned all the time now because
Yeah.
all the time it happens in your life. You just don't really realize. So, but
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean.
That was just one of the things I just noticed. I kept clipping my right shoulder and everything. So just
Your right shoulder.
yep.
So
He was
yeah.
actually telling his employee, like, I think I'm dying.
Yeah, for like 2 months before the
Yeah.
actual diagnosis, I was telling my like coworker guy, like, I think I'm dying. I think
Like,
something's wrong
and
with
it-
me.
like you
I
had
didn't know
an
what. I didn't feel bad. I just thought I was
intuitive.
dying. I don't know. It was weird. So
That
and
is so weird. Yeah.
turns out, and the doctor said that the tumors looked like they'd been there for about 2 months. So it was like for about 2 months I've been saying it. So I don't know.
And what do they know about glioma? Like, not much, eh?
Not-
As far as
she knows more than I do.
treatment though, it's strange. And I'll tell you, we've been talking, so we have a pediatric oncology palliative care nurse that I went to high school with, and he's actually the one that diagnosed, or this is the one that prescribes his medication, his THC CBD medication, because we actually go through like a lab. It gets tested at the University of Ohio. He
Yeah.
has his own special formula that he takes. And so we were talking to him about it at the last time we met him, and he was saying that he generally sees these certain tumors in kids about 1 to 2 a month. Since COVID, they've seen about 5 a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's saying, you know, I can't say for sure, but that's the only difference that I see. And oddly enough, he had COVID in the beginning of all of it, and he lost his sense of taste. He lost his sense of smell.
Yeah.
And I had gotten on, and I had kind of just asked on the GBM forums, like, has anybody experienced this as well? And a couple of different women said their husbands had COVID in October, diagnosed with GBM in March. And so you can't say there's a correlation, but it does seem, you know, like there might could be, which was really hard for me in the beginning because my dear friend Jody, he passed away from a stroke. Well, he had COVID in the beginning of everything, and the strokes that are happening afterwards.
Yeah. Well, they're talking about this long hauler, and like they just really don't understand it.
Yeah. So I don't know for sure that that's where his came from. They said that it might have been dormant for a long time in his head and that it just so happened. The one good thing is that these gliomas don't metastasize in other places. When they start in your brain, they are generally in your brain. That's where they stay. He has a golf ball sized one on the right parietal, and then it goes through the middle of his cerebellum, which is why they can't take it out, and then also on the left occipital. But the last MRI showed that everything had shrank about 20%, and
that's what they want.
So that's awesome.
So they radiate to shrink the tumor, and then they give you chemo to shrink it more. Is that the deal?
Yeah, we're doing chemo along with the radiation, and then they do like maintenance doses of the chemo, basically like, was it 5 days on, 23 days off?
Right.
And then like 6 months.
And the chemo and radiation are like synergistic with each other.
Yes.
So they worked congruently. But what we learned at our lab, we just switched oncologists. I didn't really like our first
I gathered that. Not
communicative. You know, funnily enough, it wasn't the doctor, it was a medical assistant. I just didn't have a good feeling. She told me in the beginning of all of this that when Brett came in, he had been in more pain than she had ever seen anyone. And she actually asked the doctor if he was pain seeking. And I thought to myself,
like drugs?
And it was like, no, he has brain cancer. So if you're in the field and you can't see that. And so it just put a really bad it put a really bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
And so this last oncologist, he explained to us that, and he is amazing. Dr. Moffat at M2 Oncology in Clovis, amazing staff. And he said that the radiation continues to peak until about 6 weeks after your last radiation. So about as long as radiation you do, that's about how long it continues to go afterwards.
Nice.
And so it's interesting to see that you go on these lower doses of chemotherapy while you're getting radiated, and then he took a month off, and now he's doing a higher dose. We'll get some blood work and see if we can up him up to the even higher dose after that. So, and then hopefully he's getting this thing called Optune, which is like a cyborg thing that he wears this little backpack, and it sends low-level TTFs, tumor treating fields, to his tumor to be able to help treat it. And it looks pretty cool.
It is.
It looks like RoboCop.
Yeah.
The Jetsons.
They can't gamma knife it at this point. That hasn't been anything that anybody's talked to us about. We have talked to that. Our standard of care is just strictly radiation and then chemotherapy. And then afterwards, if we end up seeing that there's any kind of like a regrowth or anything like that, then they will kind of see what further they do. It's interesting. I looked into Glidel wafers, which I believe that they do in Canada, where they'll put them in, they insert them into the tumor basically and break it down, and they don't offer that here in the States.
Oh, they don't.
So, it's weird to see what they offer and what they don't. Like,
I know.
It's so strange.
We have a couch, just saying. With a nice Canada flag, a nice Canada pillow. But anyway, so we're getting questions here that I wanted to kind of share with you guys, because you can't see the questions. Is that right? Can you see the people?
We can see our questions.
Yeah, so we're not really getting that many.
Okay, so here's some of the questions. Someone was asking about methotrexate. I don't know.
I haven't heard of that one.
have, and we don't really like talking about medical stuff like that on TikTok
Yeah.
because we're not doctors.
Yeah.
Yes, used for RA. Thank you. Prayers for your dad. So typically with these lives, a lot of people ask questions. So we're getting like all these great people that I recognize are coming into the room. We've got 40, we've got about 50 people now in the room. So
Oh,
the kind of theme that I wanted to do with you guys, because I think we share a same kind of philosophy about all this. So Kathy
Yes.
started struggling at 52, which is crazy young. And look at her. She was in the prime of her life and super successful and having a great life. Would you say?
Yes. And then all of a sudden,
Boom.
yes,
So
dementia came.
dementia came.
Yeah.
Shocking. It's none of it's in our family. So it's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck are we going to do now? So, you know,
Yeah.
right? Like that was not in the plan. And so we decided, well, we're going to have fun with it because if you really think and face this fully, you're really not going to be able to have any good feelings in your soul because there's so much shittiness about it, right?
Yeah.
So why not?
So right.
So right. And so we were attracted to you guys because you're so profoundly, goofily funny.
Yeah.
And so there's like, Brett has a sock thing and a t-shirt thing. And George is a great cook and they bicker about it. And it's
I
just
try.
really, it's cute, it's affectionate. So we really hope you will follow these guys because even though it's like me and Kathy, Alzheimer's, and Georgia and Brett, glioma,
Yeah.
like really, we are the comedy corner of TikTok.
We are.
We are
Has to
funnier
be.
than all those funny guys.
And truthfully, this last couple days, you know, we haven't been on because we can't find the fun. And it's like, I want to record those times. It's very hard for me to
Yeah.
record the times when he's not feeling good. And it's funny because that's what people love. They want to see us cry. You know? They
Isn't
love
it
that.
true? Whenever Kathy
It's so
cries,
it.
whenever
Yeah.
Kathy cries, hundreds of followers.
I know.
many.
Yeah.
It's
exactly what it
crazy.
is.
But I never fake cry. You know.
Neither
Never.
does he. Well, and I was asking him earlier, you know, what's your favorite thing about your brain issues that you've got going on? And he said nothing. And I said, you don't even like being more sensitive because he definitely is. He said, no, it's crap. I hate it because he cries and he's not used to that. And he just
Yeah.
like, he just hates it. And I find it interesting because I've known Brett for a really long time. We've only been together for about 3 years, but I've known him for like 13 years.
Yeah.
And we've been friends for a long, long time. So
Yeah.
he's an ass. Like,
I know. I know.
he really is. It was hard in the beginning
Don't
because
tell everybody.
some people were getting so mad at me because I was like mean to him or something. And I'm like, you guys have absolutely no idea how mean this guy is. Constantly talks so much
nice.
shit
I
to
love you so
everybody.
much.
And, you know,
He's making it up now.
and
Okay,
so,
here's a question. Here's a
Oh,
good
sure.
question. I just don't see how you have such great attitudes with such diagnoses. You want to answer that? You kind of just
I mean,
did.
there's really no other option. I mean, that's
Exactly.
so I think in the beginning it was hard because I was so profoundly sad because I kept on thinking about the future. And then I had like this shift in kind of like, I think I got too high one day and I just kind of thought about things. And I realized that
Mhm.
time is a human construct that we made up. And
Yeah.
that anxiety is being scared of future, which doesn't really exist,
Yeah.
or reliving past, which doesn't
Yeah.
really exist.
Yeah.
So the only thing you can really do is just be right here, right now.
Yeah.
And it is hard some days to pick up and be happy. But at the same time, how fucking terrible would that be if the last year that we sat around being
Yeah.
so sad?
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's not an option. And
And
cancer is beaten with, you know, I don't want to say with attitude because I don't want to take away from people that have a very hard struggle who do end up succumbing to cancer in the end. However, the battle is a lot mental. And if you
Yeah.
can have that like mental positivity and like, you know, the last couple of days have sucked for him because he can't think of a reason to live.
Yeah.
Like, why fight? And that's really, really hard, you know?
Yeah.
And you can only live for your family, for your friends so often. You have to get to the place where you can be happy. Well, how can we be happy if you can't work, if you can't drive? Well, we sure can talk a lot of shit We
Yeah.
sure can smoke a lot of weed, and we
Yeah.
sure can eat a lot of good food.
That's right.
You know?
Exactly. And it's not like, like we're not bright siding, like it's not perfect. Like, of course,
No,
everyone,
it's
we have moments of frustration and, Brett having a couple of days, totally, like you need that. That's called being a
Yeah.
human being. But really, we just didn't want to, I don't know, linger in that too long. We
Yeah.
recognize that there's grief involved here. It's super sad. We all have terminal, or two of us here have terminal illnesses that could kill us. But we're all just walking towards the abyss anyway, like it's a
Exactly.
matter of when. And so
Well,
it's all about how we walk that walk.
I
So.
read a story about a girl that I went to high school with right after all this happened. They had a GoFundMe. She had her whole entire life had a heart problem. They had always known that she was going to end up needing a heart transplant later on in life.
Yeah.
She finally gets to the place where they need to have her heart transplant. 2 days before her transplant, her husband passes away in a car accident.
God.
And everybody expected it to be her, and it was him.
Yeah.
And it just really
Wow.
hit me like, why is it going to be Brett just
Yeah.
because he has brain cancer?
Exactly.
You know?
It could be you or I.
That's
Kathy
it.
and I were just talking about that, like it's coming for us all. But anyway,
Yeah.
so I want to get to some of these questions because they're really
Absolutely.
adorable.
Sure.
And here's someone saying we're all terminal.
Yeah,
we're all
I was
going to
gonna
get
say
hit
that.
by that
We sure
ultimate
are.
plus.
Yep, we've all
And
been
here's
diagnosed
a
with life.
PSW, a personal support worker dealing mostly with Alzheimer's, but she says she always tries to make my clients laugh. And then Barb says, don't make Kathy cry. But Barb's like that, and don't take that personally.
Don't worry.
Who invited her? Kathy asked who invited her. We invited Georgia and Brett today because we really enjoy them and love them. And you can do this now. You can
I
do.
know.
The new
I'm
folks
so
are
happy we
Brett
talked
and
to you guys
Georgia.
too.
So I'm answering all these questions. People are thanking you for all the great advice. We're all
Okay.
terminal. Okay, so I'll try to keep up with the questions, but yeah, that's what. So anyway, so just to answer with like George and Brett are here, and we're going to do this with them again, but we're going to do it with other creators that have really cool accounts that are doing important work and that kind of are under the umbrella of disability, we feel like, okay, so Brett has blastoglioma. I will never pronounce it
Yep,
properly.
that's it.
Glioma.
You're good.
Glioma. Kathy has Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's, yeah.
We follow people that have like different forms of dementia.
Yeah.
CP, which is different. We should all unite because
Absolutely.
disabilities are all fractured in like autism and CP, and Alzheimer's is different. A disease you acquire is different than an injury at birth. I think we should politically align and get stronger.
Yes.
And really
Exactly.
to make, anyway, so that's what we're doing with these. And we just love Brett and Georgia. They have 2 children.
You guys are awesome.
We love
What's
you
that?
guys too. I love your interactions with each other, and it's so important. We have a family friend that I just told you. She thinks she's looking at being diagnosed with early onset or something to go along with that. She has a couple of TBIs in her history that might be also contributing to things. And she's young, she's only 60. And the fact that I could give you guys give her your account, because to be able to watch somebody live, like you still live, you still have fun. You guys still bitch at each other and laugh and you know what I mean? And I like that. That's what life is,
Yeah.
And I remember one time you said something about Kathy not being embarrassed of her disability. And I so wholeheartedly feel that way. Like I get so protective of Brett and of his own self-image, honestly, like more of what he thinks of himself more than anybody else, because I'll knuckle up with somebody who has anything to say, but
I talk back.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. But when it comes to his own like identity, just because you can't read something as fast as you used to doesn't mean you're not smart. It just means that it's a different,
Absolutely.
you have a different way now,
Yeah.
Brett, someone has a question for you. What do you need assistance with physically? Can you do most things?
I mean, I guess I can physically do most things. It's mainly like memory stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, making phone calls and trying to get things done and remembering what the person just said if I didn't write
Yeah,
it down right then. And
I hear you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then hopefully I can
sometimes
do
I
my own
just
writing
feel
once
like
that's
it's
done.
flitting away.
That's
Yeah.
so yeah, that's probably the biggest thing is the short-term memory stuff.
Now, when he
Yeah.
first got home from the hospital, it was very different because when everything
Yeah.
first happened, you know, he was walking with a cane. He had pretty much no peripheral vision. He couldn't, because of where his tumor is in his occipital lobe, that's kind of your like vision. And, you know, whenever things come into our brain, our eyes, we kind of play them, they say, as like a movie against the back of our brains. Well, basically, when the occipital lobe is messed with, whatever's coming in isn't being played properly
Yeah.
in the back of the brain. And
Which is
so
where, yeah, the
when
vision.
he couldn't even like recognize facially who we were. I used to wear so much perfume when he first got home because
Yeah.
I wanted him to be able to know I was right there next to him because
Yeah.
he just couldn't. And I remember we were at the dispensary actually. The first time he read a sign, it said, what did it say?
Thank you for checking in.
Like, check in here.
Yeah.
And he just goes, check in here. And it was like
Yeah.
watching your kid like read for the first time, like, yes, that's exactly what it says. You did a
Yeah.
great job, you know?
Yeah.
It's
It
fun.
is. It's extraordinary to see like what the brain's been doing for us all this time, and the amount of things, just the amount of things that it controls. Like as
Yep.
Kathy, loses certain things, like she says, a little layer flits away every
Yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah.
And
That's
it's
right.
interesting to see the things that get lost, and also the things that don't fall away.
Right.
As a nerd, I find it interesting.
It's like
You're
we
a
talked
nerd?
that one day. It is. It's
I'm a nerd.
morbidly fascinating.
Yeah,
Because,
morbidly
and
fascinating.
I try not to think of him as a science experiment, but to
Yeah.
me, I'm an information getter. So
Yeah.
I want to know like all the info behind it and just kind of, I don't have, he's my smart friend. Like,
Yeah.
Used to be.
he's who I bounce. You totally still are. He's who I bounce things off of. So it's very hard because I learned something new about his disease and I want to go share it with my smart friend who I love so much. But then I don't want to tell him something that makes him feel uncomfortable or that might make him,
Yeah.
think, ah, shit, is that going to happen to me?
It's
Sometimes
totally
he'll tell me,
fraught. Yeah.
yeah, and
It's
it
a
makes you feel
minefield.
so. It makes you feel
Okay,
so
here's-
bad.
Here's more questions. Will the chemotherapy shrink the tumor? I guess that's
Yes.
what you want. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
And it
and I have a
hasn't.
question too. So if the chemo and the radiation do shrink the tumor, would they then consider resecting the tumor, or is just never going to because of the cerebellum?
Probably not. And to be
Okay.
frank, when you do surgery, a lot of the times on these tumors, so like gliomas go like this. Like say this is his tumor, right? Well, they go like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And so you can't really get these, and
Yeah.
sometimes when you go in and you do surgery, you kind of like mess with stuff and it
Yeah.
seems to kind of up growth.
Yeah.
So as per right now, that's not in the cards necessarily. Maybe, Dr. Liao at UCLA, she does brain mapping and they also do the craziest thing where they go in and they take your tumor and they take some of it out and they mix it up with your stem cells and they re-inject it back into you like your own vaccine for your own tumor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mind-blowing.
Amazing.
And
Wow.
it's
Here's a
just crazy.
question. Here's someone just Beatlemania says, I forget I was hit by a car and severely injured in 2018 and lived. I forget that I could have died. I mean, I don't know what exactly the point is aside from what an awful experience. But yes,
Yeah.
it's easy to have. So like something really bad happened and then you forget. You always say, oh, I almost died in a car accident. I'm going to be, Mother Teresa now. And
Yes.
then 2 days later, you're not changing your sheets anymore. So it's funny.
What's funny is I think sometimes that's one of the thing that's the hardest about this is that it is forever. It'll never
Yeah.
go away.
Yeah.
He always will have brain cancer.
Yeah.
And that is very hard because, you like, I don't know, it just kind of puts a finality on things in a way, but at the same time it doesn't because he's still here and he's still you know, it's just,
Yeah.
it puts you, it's a real mind fuck, to be frank.
Yeah.
It's just a real mind fuck every day. You know, you wake up and you're like, okay, today's gonna be awesome. And then you're just like, man.
So
Yeah,
Kathy's
right.
daughter has just joined the chat. Hi, Lee. How's it going? Hi, Lee. The
My
kid is
mom just
here.
said, I'm loving, my mom said, such a proud mom and mom-in-law too. I love our family.
Here's some more questions. What if Ronald Reagan's dimension was hidden away? I think most people are afraid of the unknown. Well,
I
most people
think-
are afraid of the unknown. That's why we're talking about it. Because
Right.
right. I
Well,
forget.
because you can see what the unknown is when you see us. Like people wonder, how do
Yeah.
you live with brain cancer? Well, this is how.
This
Here's
is
one
how.
version.
Yeah, we're
You know?
going out to eat. We're going to promote the local eatery as we do it.
Yeah. I love eating.
We love eating, and part
Oh,
of your
yes.
page too is the food, because we love eating. Our thing is throw food at it. Anything happens, we just eat through it.
There you go.
That's it.
Yeah,
Makes
there
me
you
feel
go.
better.
And Beatlemania says you forget that little worries don't matter, and that's
Yeah.
the perspective that a big accident or event like that.
Yeah.
And here's our oh, it looks like is that our West Virginia gay person? I think it is. Hi, Deb. I love how you. Kathy says, "I love how you're teaching us all," and I love how Georgia and Brett are teaching us all too.
Yeah.
And just how to be. You know,
Yeah.
like just how to be. And
Yeah.
and so you can go to Gabbing with Glioma's page, and you're going to end up
Hang out.
laughing. And don't go there at night because you won't sleep. You got to go through the whole thing. It's like a binge situation. So pissed off at you guys for that. And really,
You
you'll
know-
just fall in love, and supporting people going through stuff is everything.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Yeah.
Let's see more questions here.
It makes
Here's
us
one. You
wake
don't know
up
how
and
much you're
wanna
helping
be happy.
people. What's that?
It said it just makes us wake up and want to be happy. Like it's definitely a choice that you have to make. And I think
Yeah.
that it's just like almost like a weight loss program. Like TikTok holds us accountable for our joy, you know, and we want to
Yeah.
continue to spread joy, and I want to continue to be able to interact with people. And so almost like it makes you be like, we'll be like, you're having a shit day and you're like, all right, we got to make a video. And then we, you know, you kind of get like in a better mood at least a little bit. And then he laughs as I sit there like editing and
Yeah.
laughing. And he's always like, you're so happy when you do
Yes.
that. So cute.
Yeah.
Keeps her busy.
It is a lot of fun. I know it's same
Anyway.
for Kathy. Like sometimes I get Kathy, and if Kathy's at loose ends, I'll say, I know what you can do now. You can tap here, read these comments. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I love you, Kathy. Oh, Kathy's so wonderful. Oh, Kathy, I wish I had
On
hair
and
like
on
yours.
and on and on.
Hard to
It's hard.
feel
You're like,
negative.
"Ah."
I mean, just keep it coming. Okay, more questions. Here they are. Oh, good. Deb is here. Do you find that you get more frustrated with others for taking things for granted after this? That's a good question for Georgia and Brett.
Do you find yourself feeling bad for others for?
No, just when people whine, does it feel like
Oh,
annoying?
I
you know,
feel
like-
bad for them.
That's good. Okay.
So
I feel
I kind of, a lot of the times, like I will, Brett laughs because I feel like, man, we had one guy who came on and was like, we were talking about the whole healthcare thing. He goes, oh, you know, not wanting to pay for services rendered. And then he kind of went on and talking about how he could just really take care of it, his health problems if they came and I was just like, man, I'm envious of you. Like, you're so lucky that you like enjoy your life, because you really have no idea. Like, you're so ignorant and blissfully
Yeah.
ignorant, I guess, you know, and it's just kind of like, I feel bad for them most of the time. We live in a different level. Don't you feel like you guys live at a different level now?
it changed everything.
Yeah.
It
Okay,
did.
so here's a special one. Here's a special one for Kathy. And it says, I'm the person that sent you the Minky Sugar Skull Minky blanket. I hope you enjoy it. What's on your bed right now?
That.
The skull blanket. She loves it. She loves it. They're
I-
sugar skulls.
They're sugar skulls.
It's on her bed right now. And
Yes.
she absolutely loves it. And that was just such a sweet gift.
Yes.
And you, I think there was other gifts in there. It was the sweetest gift ever. Thank you
Yeah,
so much. And I
yeah.
hope we emailed or mailed you back. Kathy was going to send you a Mandela. I know we're behind Mandelas, Georgia. We'll get to it. Okay, so now
I
we've
love
got.
those.
What's that?
I love mandalas. I used to do those a long time ago.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
really?
yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you do it?
I was more, I'm like
Did you have like the
creative, but I need to
books?
be inspired. Yeah, I had a book.
Yeah,
And then I
yeah,
did
yeah.
start kind of on some graph paper. I kind of did some that were my own, but
Sweet.
I wasn't as creative as I wish I could have been, I suppose. And plus Lily just blows me out of the water with everything she does with
Yeah.
art. So I just try to stay
So,
in my lane.
so remember we chose a piece of art for a young girl.
Yes.
Her TikToks blew up.
They did.
Like, is she posting more?
No, she literally could care less. She's such a this guy's constantly trying to oh, we could make money off that, or we should sell
Yeah,
that.
merch.
Got talent, man. She needs to, she
She's
needs to
just like,
start
no
something.
thanks, she doesn't care.
All I want's 10%.
She's
from
outside
her.
right now drawing with her friends. She does it because she loves it, but she doesn't really.
Yeah.
She's not into it for the rest of it.
Yeah.
Oh God, she's
Yeah.
so much more mature than I am. That's great.
She's crazy. The newest thing for her is she just got into summer school, so now she can take art and orchestra and have 2 electives. So
Yeah.
it definitely a different teenager than I was at her age. I will tell you that much. And Brett by far.
I was a good kid.
And this other person who sent Kathy gifts. Okay, so it's amazing. Are you guys getting gifts yet? It's a real thrill. So this woman who sent us, okay, and this
Yes.
blanket she sent us is a really quality, heavy kind of blanket. It almost feels weighted. And then she sent us this beautiful elephant towel. But the cool thing about the towel is it's so soft that it's Kathy's, but I always use it.
You do?
I
She
do.
won't remember.
She won't remember.
Oh man.
Okay, so I'm
Oh,
looking
God.
at these comments. Sorry to be I color mandala is someone else who does. Beatlemania does when I don't have migraines. See, migraines are just
I've never had a migraine.
I've never had a migraine,
No.
but I've had
Oh,
these
I get
migraines. Where I hallucinate and see things like they're like amoebas, but they don't hurt. They're silent
So
migraines.
crazily enough, that is whenever Brett was leaving the day that he had the incident, we had kind of been in a fight. So I was not sad to see him leave, which let me tell you about the guilt after everything happened. I was so guilt ridden because I felt so terrible, But he was saying, we were standing outside getting ready to leave, and he was like, do you see that? And I'm like, what? And he was seeing flashes, and he was kind of looking around for like a windmill or something that was
Like a wind chime or
like a
something
wind chime that was
in the
flashing.
sun, just kind of shimmering, sparkling that I couldn't find no matter where I turned.
And so that's
Amazing.
one of my migraine tells is that I have shimmers sometimes. And so I told him, maybe you just have a migraine,
Yeah.
go take your drive. If you start to feel like shit, come back. If you don't,
Yeah.
call me when you get home or whatever. And he made it about 40 minutes, I guess, until he didn't make it anymore.
And you can't drive anymore, Brett? That's it?
I'm not allowed to. I wouldn't say I can't.
It's a sore subject
Right.
in our household right now because,
People won't let me.
well, see,
The DMV won't let me.
Yeah, okay.
the DMV won't let him.
I think I can.
That's a blow. That's a blow, though. When
Yeah.
Kathy lost her license, big blow.
Yeah.
Big blow.
Definitely.
Okay, here's
I think
another.
Go ahead.
I'm seeing stuff that you guys aren't seeing. They're telling
you're
you
good.
you're really interesting.
This guy's interesting.
Eh.
Here's one who is disclosing that they have schizophrenia. You're totally welcome here. We're just all about any mental illness, disability, anything.
Correct.
That's what mine do. You see bright spots coming at times. Yeah, anyway, so many there's more common bonds between us as human beings than there are differences. Great
Oh,
lives.
absolutely.
Tamara's here. Tamara came into our comments the other day and she said, fuck, I love you guys. So I had to follow her immediately. No comments,
Oh,
no
God.
content. Just, okay,
I
I like
love
you.
it. What's so funny is I'm
Exactly.
such a vulgar. And he is too, but he's much more kind of timid than I am, I guess. I
Yeah.
kind of just am like, hey, here's what I am. I don't care if 400 people are watching or whatever. But I always get like, oh shit, should we post that? Like, did I sound really that bitchy, or did I,
Yeah.
did I curse too much or whatever it was? We have
I discovered that my chin could cut diamonds, and I discovered all kinds of like my hair is a mess. It's so dry, your hair. I mean, I'm just like, what the fuck?
Oh, geez.
And then they follow you. Like,
yeah.
what is
That's
wrong
nice
with you
of 'em.
people?
Yeah.
I know.
Hey, misery
It's
loves
crazy.
company, and they just want to be able to keep bitching.
I
think.
guess so. How do you
Someone just
balance?
asked us, are the shimmers like an aura in the visual field, and how long does it last?
I don't know. I guess it was off on like my peripheral that I just couldn't find. So
Yeah.
it wasn't in front of me. It was just no matter where I turned, it was always just
Yeah.
a little bit.
It's a really,
further.
really weird sensation.
Yeah.
I've had to pull over because I couldn't see.
That's pretty much what I did, and then I woke up in the hospital.
Yeah. Did you cry when you got diagnosed, or did it take a while?
No, I was, like I said, they had me on so many drugs for the pain in my head and my shoulder and stuff that I wasn't really with it at that time. So it kind of took a while for it to sort of sink in. But yeah.
I think he definitely knew what was going on, and like, he was more concerned about how we were feeling than anything else. He was really, really worried about it, and especially coming home to the kids and stuff. And like, he's a man, so he does not want to be a bother to anybody. He just wants people to leave him alone and just like let him do his thing. And now everybody's coming, and you've got parents that are divorced that haven't talked to each other, and now they're coming to see you, and it's just like everything is so,
at the
like,
same time. Oh,
yeah.
Let's keep it
And,
separate.
I had never met his sister or his dad, and that was our first time meeting. And I, funnily enough, well, I guess not funnily enough, oddly enough, when I was about 18, I had a very alcoholic boyfriend decide that he was done being in the car with me while I was driving, and opened up and hit the ground. And I basically pulled around, called 911, called my mom, and had to call his sister, who I had never met, and then his mother, who lived in England, who I'd never met, to basically say, come in, because he's probably going to die. And they very much did not receive me well. His mom very much wanted to come in and take control of the situation and edged me out. And it was a very traumatic experience. So and it was like, we were going to the same hospital. We were going to a neurology, neuro spot. And it was so similar that it was hard for me not to get really, really anxious. But his parents and his sister, his mom, they understand how much I love him. The first day we were going to get his car, and I was crying, and I told his mom, I'm so sorry, here I am crying, and it's your son. And she was like, you love my son just as much as I do. And I was like, oh my God, you see that? Like, thank God you see that,
Yeah, that's good. I mean, family.
Yes, I will still kiss her.
Somebody asked, will Brett still kiss you? My boyfriend is afraid to kiss me while on Timidor for his GBM. So yes, he does. And weirdly enough, everybody's told us, sorry if this gets to be TMI, but everybody's told us, as far as sex goes, that we are allowed to have sex. We just want to make sure that we use protection, because having a baby while you're on this can be very, very bad. So, yes, we.
Does it
absolutely
destroy fertility? Like will it destroy? That's such a personal question, but
we haven't looked into it, because, it is a little personal, but Brett is a stepdad to my kids. He's not their real dad. He is absolutely their real dad.
Yeah, I
their
know.
real dad
I know.
Not a good person, but so he has never been on his radar ever, having a baby. Like, he's never wanted that. So
okay, perfect.
These ones are good though.
Yeah,
I'm happy with
he loves the kids.
They're just fine.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I have pictures of him at my baby shower with Olivia, with his girlfriend at the time, because we all worked together at Olive Garden. So Brett's I was at Olivia's baby shower with his girlfriend Kristen, and we laughed because we show her pictures
10 or 11 years ago.
Look, you were there.
Here's a comment I want to read to Kathy. My husband was president of Alzheimer's Association in New York City, so that's a big deal.
Yes.
We are very close to the situation. I adore you both. So that, see, we get messages like that. It's very hard.
Wow.
Like one of our favorites is when we hear from people in the field. It's, you know,
Yeah.
like clinicians and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So do you guys get that? Get doctors,
Not
nurses?
as much.
You will.
Not as much. My favorite thing is like the first couple of days, because we are big proponents on the THC CBD as treatment for this. And basically for any brain disorder you have, like, oh my God, get on THC and CBD. It is so good for your
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah.
And one of the first days, we had a man whose 2-year-old had just been
Yes,
diagnosed
thank
with
you.
brain cancer. And
So-
we were like, get on CBD THC ASAP. And it was cool to
Yeah.
be able to give somebody that advice, you know, and
Yeah,
like,
for sure. Someone's
means a lot.
asking if Kathy's anxiety is better. Is your anxiety better?
Well, right now it's great.
Good. You relaxed?
I'm relaxed. Yes.
Yes. So anxiety is just part of it. And
Yeah.
Brett can probably relate to that too. Where
Yeah.
you
Oh, I
just-
was wringing my hands and doing the whole thing, you know.
Yeah.
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 This is
had
what he
lots
does.
of
I rub my head a
anxiety.
lot.
he rubs his head
Yeah.
like this all day long. And I'm constantly like, what's going on? What's wrong?
I did it a
Yeah.
lot before this too, since I always had a bald head. So
Yeah. But we all
He does-
have our, you know, like our manifestations of anxiety.
Yes.
And
Your
I think that
health.
when you're facing anything terminal like that, it's going to pop up in your head.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a terminal illness. That's not
Yeah,
great.
that's right.
Boo-hoo, and then
My
carry
brain
on.
is broken.
Yeah, that's right. Having a broken brain. Okay, I'm going to
Yeah.
look at these comments again. We're going to see, hello, girlies. And then some people love CBD. So we'll talk a bit about CBD because Kathy had some issues around CBD. So Kathy used to, I hope our live won't get banned for this. Is this something that lives get banned for? Because it's totally
I have
legal
no
in Canada.
idea.
Whatever
I'm
the
not
case.
sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever the case. So we bought legal herb, and Kathy was partaking in that. And it, you know, just for fun, for, you know, recreational reasons.
Yeah.
And then it became incredibly confusing for her.
Yes. So I
Yeah.
stopped doing it.
You made the decision to stop, even though you
Yes.
enjoyed it because of the confusion.
Yes.
We know that there's CBD without THC. We do actually have it in the house because our dad has a lot of pain, and so we were trying to get him onto it.
Yeah.
But I think, Kathy, we should try CBD with you. We haven't really tried it, but she's kind of nervous about it because of her last experience.
I
Yeah.
would try
Smoking.
like a 40-1 in the beginning, where it'll be like a 40 CBD to 1 THC, because you do want them together. They're
Yeah,
synergistic.
a
It's like,
little bit of THC helps
Yeah.
the CBD work a lot better, but
We're
if
gonna
it's really
try it.
low doses, you shouldn't even feel
Right.
it.
Maybe
Yeah.
they can tell us
You
exactly what to
won't.
get when we're done.
Yeah.
She can leave. Okay, so some people are asking questions.
Right.
Is your guest diagnosed with Alzheimer's? No, our guest is Brett. The gentleman is diagnosed with glioma, which is
Brain
a
cancer.
form of brain cancer. And but it creates a lot of like kind of brain fog kind of symptoms, similar symptoms. We're all in the same boat.
Definitely.
And a lot of people are going CBD would be, with THC would be better. They're agreeing with you guys. How do you balance dealing with diagnosis yourself and trying to protect those close to you from pain? That's impossible.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's
Do you
all
guys have an
you,
answer?
Man, I have no. I
What's
just try
that?
to keep smiling through it. That's,
And that's what we do. And, you know,
that's about the
Yeah.
only thing I can do is keep smiling so that she stays good.
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
my big
Yeah.
concern. Her
Yeah.
and the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and it actually, like our dad used to say, if you smile in the mirror in the morning, he used to be a salesman, it actually works. It creates serotonin release in your brain.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
more
it's that
questions.
power posing situation. I used to tell him that before
Yeah.
you would go into radiation. You got to power pose. You got to pretend, make your body match what you want your brain to feel, because they do really work together.
Yeah. Hey, JVB, how are you doing? I'd like to say hi, Kath. Hi, Jean. Hi, Kath. Carla is here. So we're seeing, it's too bad that you guys can't see all this. I like the smile in the mirror. Kathy, do you go out away from home very often? Kathy, do you go away from home very often?
Well, I don't have a vehicle, but I love to walk our little dog, and I get a lot of pleasure from that.
And we go on outings.
Yes, we do.
And
I
Kat-
love
and
outings.
Kathy's she's like a 3-year-old. An outing! Oh, I'm so happy because of COVID and everything, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Just to
me.
get
I'm
there.
like the cheerleader, like, isn't this so much fun?
I know, I
You
know,
and
I
I'm
know.
just like, I fucking guess, man.
Yeah, I know.
It's nice to
They
get out of
just
the
want
house.
to
out of the
slap
house.
us, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Good to see you live again.
Mm-hmm.
Someone says I really love avocados. Joined. So obviously
Same.
they agree with guacamole, Kathy. So you guys do a lot of good cooking over there. Is a feeling I
I
get.
don't. She does.
That's
just do a
what
lot
I
of good
meant to
eating.
say. It looks like a lot of fun at your house and your garden. Congrats. You did a
Thank
great
you. I
job on the
needed that
garden.
so bad at that time. I was really, really in a really nasty place, and my mom kind of saw that, and she hauled me over to the nursery and got $150 worth of plants and let me just go hog wild. And so
It inspired me to clean off the deck, which really needed to be done. Which I
Good
did.
job.
Yeah, it's
get the potted plants out there.
There you go.
we're going to, but we're just terrible gardeners.
Eh.
Well, because we're lazy. We don't try. Yeah.
That'll do it.
There's some
It's
plants
hard.
we can grow. Yeah.
It's hard, it's hard to stay engaged sometimes, I think. You know, it's
Yeah.
like you get into that routine, but
Yeah.
my mom lives with us right now as a backup. So if I don't water, she's really good at going out and following
That's
me and fixing
awesome.
my problem.
Okay, so Kath, here's someone saying, do you get recognized when you go out and about?
Oh, yes.
That's happened quite a few times.
Oh, yes.
Has that happened to
How
you guys yet?
cute is
Have you been
that?
recognized? Georgia?
California.
No, not really. Not at this
Okay.
point.
What happened?
It's-
We've never been recognized.
Oh,
The
no.
first
I would
time it
literally die.
happens.
I would die over
You
the
will
person.
die. It was like
I-
so freaky. And Kathy's face is just like she goes into full, movie star mode, full smile. Oh yes, yes, that's me. Kathy.
I mean, she has kissed Tom Cruise, so hello.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we were preparing for that for
Don't
a long
even talk
time.
about it.
Some
Sorry,
people have
sorry.
green
I've known
thumbs
you
and
for
they're
that long, you
teasing
know.
Yeah. I hope you guys are following Dabbing with
yeah.
Gliomas. Just follow their account so that you guys can go along on their incredibly hilarious journey. Fame suits you, Kathy, says Carla. I know Carla has a green thumb too. And Beatlemania, maybe we should get Beatlemania to come over here because they have green thumb. Yeah. People are telling people also who you guys are so that people will know to go and see and follow your page.
We
Come
appreciate
follow
it.
us.
Yeah.
We try to keep it light, but we try to.
We'll cry sometimes, so you
Yeah.
don't want to watch.
We do too. If we're looking for followers, we'll cry. No,
That's
we're
it,
kidding.
right?
But it's so
I-
shocking how
I feel so invasive sometimes when I do that to him because he's very private and
Yeah.
I don't ever want him to feel like a science experiment. And you so
Totally.
can in this
You-
whole thing.
Yeah.
You really can.
Yeah. Yeah, I see, and you come across that kind of thing, and you know it when you see it, when it's exploitive, and you just can kind of feel that that's not right, and that person probably wouldn't have wanted that to be seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not a good
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's look
There's-
at some of those. Kathy and Jean, you are so youthful looking.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
You are. I would
Oh,
agree.
my. Oh, thanks,
Beautiful.
Brett. Brett gets a Mandela. And let's see.
He's good for compliments, this one.
Yeah.
Someone is saying
Oh,
that
dear.
you can get phone apps to remind you to water your plants. Of course you can. Of course you can.
I
Okay,
just
let's
wait
see if
until
there's
mine go
any-
like this. And then I'm like, oh shit, that's right.
Here's one. Do you ever get respite from caregiving? Asking Jean. Yes, I do. I actually have another job, caregiving, which gives me respite from caregiving with Kathy. And I don't really feel like I need respite because Kathy and I, we're in the groove.
Yes,
So it doesn't feel like
Yeah.
a hard thing to do. It feels like a fun thing to do.
yeah.
And there's things that we do like now.
Okay, so one thing I want to tell you,
Okay.
Jean bathes me,
Okay.
and it's a most amazing situation. does my hair and
I do the shampoo
Yeah,
and,
she puts
and
the
the, you know,
shampoo
the
on.
spa treatment,
yeah.
and then I dump it
Mhm.
over.
It's a long-
And then she gets out of the bath and she goes into the shower.
I'm naked.
And she's totally naked and totally without any problem with it.
No problem.
And,
with that,
and,
yeah.
and and I shower her down and then hand her her towel. It's the sweetest
It
thing.
is.
And then
It's
she
a
wraps herself all up and then she goes and calls
different
her other sister.
level of intimacy. And it's not intimacy like intimacy is, but it's just knowing a human on a completely different
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's such a special, you know, it sucks and cancer fucking sucks real fucking bad. But
Yeah.
I have never been so connected to anyone. I've never literally wanted to fight a grown man for anyone other than my children. And one day we were at the park and this guy kept looking and I was like, what the hell is this guy's problem? I'm gonna go fight him because I just felt like he was staring because Brett had the cane and stuff. And I was just like, give me your cane. I'm gonna fucking whack
Yeah.
this guy.
Had the diagnosis
Yeah.
or were you always this close?
Olivia says that she's watching the questions and she said someone just asked if the diagnosis has brought us closer or if we were
Yeah.
always this close.
Brush
And
closer.
absolutely.
Definitely.
We're like
We're-
side
yeah.
by side.
Yeah.
This is how we work.
It's absolute closer. Thanks,
Yeah.
Carla. So I'm just, yeah, the diagnosis just totally brought us closer, but we always were close. And for
Yeah.
us, and I'm sure for you guys, because you've got all that history and know each other so deeply, so well, that when,
Yeah.
you know, if communication issues start coming up for Kath, I'm going to know what you want.
I know you will.
Even if you can't articulate it, you can behave
You'll see it
your
in
way.
my eyes.
I'll totally get it.
Yeah.
And because we believe anyway
She's
that people-
too far into my head.
what's that?
I've always
Brett?
been able to like, whenever Brett would be, even before the diagnosis, he would kind of look up and I'd be like, do you want something to drink? And he would just be like, how the fuck do you do that? You know? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just generally mean right before you want something to drink. And
Yeah.
so it's almost like I was gearing up for it for a long time and had no
Yeah.
idea. Like,
It's been reading my mind for years.
It's great because with Kath, she can like often what happens when you're telling a story,
Yeah.
it can start.
It starts and then I just have to think about what I was doing or talking about. And then it just flits away and I'm happy again.
And then if I knew where she was going though, which I usually do,
Right.
Yes.
then I can redirect her back and then she can happily finish the story. You know,
Yeah.
so the
Go.
fact that
Yeah.
I've been with her entire life, I know exactly her psychological, I know her stories. So if she starts one, I can usually know where she's going with it.
Yes.
So it's kind of like I'm her little memory. And so
Yeah.
like, you know, a sister, because it's so frustrating for Kath, she'll be saying something and then usually she goes like this. Oh.
I go like this. I put my head
And-
down and I'm just like,
And Brett, what you were saying too about feeling like kind of ashamed or embarrassed of like your frailties, Kathy does it too. And she'll say, oh, I'm so stupid. And I'll say, you are not stupid. You're so smart. You have Alzheimer's. It has nothing to do with your intelligence.
That's what she
Right.
tries to tell me.
And
yes.
listen to the
Exactly
women,
right.
Brett.
yes.
Listen to the women.
So
You
hard.
know, his doctor told him, Dr. Silvera, Dr. Will Silvera, the radiologist from
Brett
Community
is
Cancer
40.
Institute that we go to,
Brett is about
What?
to turn 40. I'm just answering a question. Sorry.
he,
Oh,
he came in and saved us. I mean, he was really the one that helped me start to understand what questions to ask, made me feel comfortable. He was just an amazing man. And he told Brett the last time he called, he was asking about the Optune device. And so we were saying, you know, we had to wait for insurance because it's $23,000 a month if you don't have insurance.
Do you have
we can
insurance?
exactly,
You have
he does
insurance.
now. Yeah. Now he
Okay.
has Medi-Cal, so he's able to. Yeah. It's amazing. When you have no
God.
money in this country, they'll give you insurance like
Okay.
hotcakes, you know, but when you work hard,
I know,
you're not
I
gonna
know.
be able to get it.
I know.
But Dr. Silvera, last time when they were talking about the Optune, he goes, I don't know, Brett, I feel like you and me could make something like that. He's like, I don't feel like I've never felt like that with a patient before, but I feel like you can. Because he's such a sharp mind, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's so fucking smart. That's one of the things
Yeah.
I love about him. We would sit and argue for hours before all of this happen over debating stuff because we have very different ideologies. And let me tell you, we would just, I mean, argue like crazy, but smart, intelligent, make me grow, make me think differently kind of arguments. And I think now he doesn't feel like he has like the mentality to back that, but he does. But he doesn't feel like he does, you know?
Yeah. I
And
just want to
pretty much
clear
it.
something up. So people come and people go. So people think Brett has early onset. No, Brett has blastioglioma. Say
stage
it for me.
3 glioblastoma,
Stage 3
Brain cancer.
glioblastoma. Thank you.
brain cancer.
So that's brain cancer, yeah. I think my seizure disorder and being unconscious after the accident of course, I bet it did affect your memory, Beatlemania.
Absolutely.
Head injuries often affect memory and do all kinds of other stuff. So
And
I
that's
hope
what's
you're getting like
interesting
thoroughly
about,
assessed.
like,
What's that?
you know, brain tumors and Alzheimer's, they kind of do the same thing. They just get
Yeah.
in there and start wreaking havoc on stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a weird, it's weird. The whole journey's strange. Because I can imagine, like with Kathy, you know, with Brett, we try to create new neural pathways for things. So like when he couldn't read because things were looking like Russian, we were like, why don't you trace the letters? Then you know that's what that letter is. So now I can see what. So that was one of the ways in the beginning that he kind of developed learning to read again.
Yeah.
With Kathy, are there ways to be able to find new pathways? Is that one of the things you guys try to do, or is that kind of off the table with the diagnosis?
Yeah, so Gina's wonderful. We go down to the forest, we go down to the ocean. I love that stuff. And
So, and for
it's
us,
good for my brain.
Yeah.
that's a brain plasticity thing to see
Yeah.
new things.
Yeah.
But what we've
Yeah.
found really successful with Kath is as things emerge is that we kind of environmentally change because learning is so entwined with memory, especially
Mhm.
short-term memory, and that's
Yeah.
really not there anymore.
Yeah.
So we use the environment to fix the situation. So for example, can I give about your stuff, gathering your stuff?
Yes.
So Kathy having difficulty in the winter months, especially getting her coat, her hat, her sunglasses, her mitts, you know, everything in the same spot, and what to wear too, like dressing appropriately, anxiety around dressing appropriately. So we just got a big bin and put it in front,
Yeah.
you know, hall. So it's all there now. So we don't relearn anything. We just kind of make
Right.
a new way of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
really effective. So Kathy's struggling with her bath. Okay, I'll just give you your bath now. Problem
Yeah.
solved. We're not gonna, it's just too stressful to try to learn when, as Kathy says, she's thinking through mud.
Yeah.
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 Do you feel
That's
like
our
that?
success.
Yeah. That's a good way to describe
I
it.
think that's the best
Thinking
way.
through mud.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pretty much exactly how it feels.
And someone says nature is a healer, and we agree with that too.
So much.
We're around beautiful nature.
Yes.
You guys are too, aren't you? You live in a beautiful
We
part of
live
the
in
world.
kind of a place, but it's really close to
About 30 minutes
nice
from
place.
nice places.
Yeah,
The
okay,
place we
so
live
that's,
is shit, but that's-
you're within commuting distance. It's just your TikTok.
Exactly.
The wind looks warm. It looks like idyllic. Okay, I'm gonna look at the questions now. Here's one. My uncle has a brain tumor. That sucks. Nature is such a healer. Yes, it is. Carla CGen was a 4.0 in college, but have a hard time remembering now. Yeah, Beatlemania.
Oh.
That's totally sounds like a head injury. That.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
And they mimic each other, the TBIs and the that's
Yeah.
why it's just crazy. Like all of these different brain things, you know, maybe there's different ways to treat them, but they all kind of present very similarly.
Very similarly.
And
Yeah.
it's
Like even with depression, like with Kathy, we thought she was having depression for 3 years because there's
Yep.
none in our family. It didn't make sense. And so we wasted all that time, and Kathy lost a fortune of money, and you know,
Yeah.
it could have been so much better if it was early diagnosed.
Yeah. I had
let's
a
see.
really
it's hard though, because you just don't know how to pinpoint things, and you just, you know, stressors of life kind of present in the same way as some of these symptoms do, where you're tired or you're this or you're that.
Right.
And
Here's some more questions or comments. Are you planning to stay in BC indefinitely? Actually, no. We're planning on moving back to Ontario. Long story. Here's
Yeah.
another one. How old was Kathy when she started showing symptoms? We think 52,
We think, yes,
52 or so.
yeah.
I do have a great neurologist. That's excellent, Beatlemania.
Yeah,
I
that is
I
so
love your
important.
videos. Okay, so they need to do this so that you guys can see too. Okay, that's calmed down. So let's pick it. I'm in Ontario. That's good. Well, maybe you'll be my neighbor. All of us Ontario people have to have a party. Kathy will be also the queen. We'll have her on a little throne, little party. You guys will be there. Yes, it's going to
We'll
happen.
I'm there.
COVID ends. We're going to have a big fat meeting. I've already decided. So,
Yeah.
okay. So, any other questions? Do you plan on staying in BC? No, we plan on moving back to Ontario. Yes. What, Carla? You're not in Ontario, Carla. You're always in you're not in Ontario. Oh, Carla's going to come to the meet. Excellent. Yes, I want you to be there. Yeah.
Well, we were raised in the American educational system, so we're not sure which coast Ontario is versus British Columbia. So are you going to be coming over to are you going east, west, the middle?
Okay, so we are your hat, basically. So you live in California.
Yeah.
So
We do.
we live on the other, like Washington State. We're on the other side of that, on an island.
Okay.
So it's like paradise where we live.
Yes.
We could drive to your place in probably a day. We just go down the coast.
When you go to Ontario, are you going to be pretty much in the same vicinity?
No, that is
Totally
above
different.
New York State. That's above New York State.
I
Yeah.
gotcha.
Other
Yeah.
side. All right.
The snow side.
Which side do you like better?
Oh, it's better here, but I have children there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have grandchildren I've never met.
Oh, wow.
I'll come for yeah, I know. Don't start. So that they're
Isn't it funny
they're
how life
proud
does
of you
that,
they're proud of you for sharing your story. Brett, your brain tumor isn't curable.
No,
Beatlemania asked that. It isn't curable?
unfortunately, no. It'll always be there. We can manage it, but
Yeah.
There'll always be something there, basically.
Yeah, I was researching a bit about it actually. Kathy's favorite band, I think I was texting you this,
Yeah.
is the Tragically Hip. They're just a
Yeah.
band that should be huge. They should have had Nickelback's career, like Nickelback. Everyone should be listening to Tragically Hip. Kathy's favorite band. She's got like one of the tickets in her wallet. Anyway,
Yeah.
he was 53 and diagnosed with the same tumor. And so he did, and he did a farewell tour. And it was incredibly moving. He had a life just so full of he was an amazing guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when she heard about that Brett had the same tumor, she's so emotional about Gord Downey dying of that tumor.
Oh, I cried and cried and cried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then she just instantly fell in love with Brett, hoping for that, Brett manages his disease for years and years to come.
Well, thank
That's
you. I
the goal,
appreciate
right?
Yeah.
What's
That's
that?
the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the goal.
So,
And the thing about it is there are new things all the time, coming. There's new research, there's new different ways to get, they're trying things to get past the blood barrier in the brain and whatnot. And so
Yeah.
it's
even
tough.
even in Alzheimer's research, someone's just asking about that. And there's new research that's very exciting that's on the horizon because there has been very little. Who is Kathy's face band? Who is Kathy? Oh, Faye's band.
Yeah.
Tragically Hip, I'd say.
Oh, yeah.
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 Sorry about these. Okay. Kathy, I love your kind, precious heart. Well, you should love George's kind, precious heart.
Well, yeah.
And nobody ever talks
Your
about
precious
me.
little heart, yeah.
Jean is just the freaking.
I just love you, Jean.
God.
I find such a connection with you because you handle it with such grace and caregiving. The
She
person
really
with
is.
the disease, it's tough. The person
Yeah.
who gives up their life for the person with the disease, it's very tough too. And it's
Yeah.
it's
It
tough
is.
in a
Yeah.
completely different way.
And we
Yeah.
talk about that candidly.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll say, Kathy, I need to be alone right now for 10 minutes.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, she doesn't, like, so we
It's
have
not
it
like I
worked out.
need, someone to help me walk the dog or anything like that. It's all good.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But
Yeah.
whenever she does need help walking the dog, then she gets help walking the dog.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's really not that complicated.
Yeah.
But you definitely try to make it more complicated than it is. I think with Brett, because he's a man and he feels a certain expectation, especially at the timing in
I
his
do,
life,
Carla.
to be the one in charge and the one making the decisions
Yeah.
and stuff. And I try, and that's very
And the one
difficult
not
for him.
communicating pain, not complaining,
Yeah,
right?
very
Yeah.
much. And then I
Yeah.
get pissed off because I find out he has a symptom and I'm like, bro, you got to tell me about this kind of stuff. And he just doesn't want to be a
I don't want
bother.
to worry her, make her stress out. So
But Brett, when you don't tell us, then we imagine that the things that are happening and we worry and then we make it up and it gets worse. So if you tell us, then we don't wonder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brett, I'm right. You're
I know.
welcome, good Georgia. Have I just resolved this?
I appreciate that. I think he
He's
knows that
leaving.
it's
He's
just
no,
hard.
he's not leaving. Okay, let's look at some questions. Okay, here's one. I wish I could give you my life and make everything better for you all.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's very
Thank
sweet.
you.
We don't want your life. It would make us feel
Yeah,
like
no.
zombies. Such an interesting conversation. Thank you all for such open hearts. Hey, you're welcome. We are quite open, all of us.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
We
guys
have a
are
girl
too.
that says, oh boy, Brett and my boyfriend Chris could be brain tumor buddies. My boyfriend doesn't want to worry me either. I think that is so the MO of the patient.
Yeah.
You don't need to
Yeah.
stress about us. You got
Yeah.
enough on your plate.
But when you're going through something so huge, I mean, it's just kind of human nature to want to release the pressure of that by talking about it.
Yeah.
That's how we experience it anyway. Yeah.
He doesn't like to talk.
That's what I'm gathering. He likes
Yeah.
to laugh. He's super like openly affectionate and warm.
Yes.
But he doesn't like to
Yes.
talk. Eh? And why is
Yeah.
that, Brett? Do you
Okay,
think?
yeah.
Is it just the machismo, or is it just the way you were raised?
Yeah,
or-
I don't know. I'm more
Yeah.
just always been just real jokey and
Yeah.
make life easy, make light of everything. So
Yeah.
when things kind of get serious, I just sort of,
Yeah.
I don't know, get quiet.
He said his mom says that if he would be telling you he was fine if his hair was on fire. And he is like that. It's just like he's
What
always
hair?
been like that. Yeah.
that's
It was-
what
I
happened.
told him maybe that's what happened.
Yeah, that's there's advantages to being that way. I can see like you certainly are highly functional when you're like that. You can get shit
Yeah.
done and stuff like that. Okay, I'm going to look at some more questions. And if you guys are starting to get tired, let me know.
Oh no, we're good. I mean,
You're good?
yeah, we're good. I might need to pop over and smoke real fast, but
So
other than that,
that's
we're
fine.
good.
I'm just vaping here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Brett, here's a question for you.
Yep.
So it's a funny question when Kathy gets it. She said, "What are your initial symptoms?" But Kathy can't recall. So we could, because obviously. But Brett, what were your initial symptoms?
I had like a real brain fog for a bit. So I was thinking it was just like from the COVID brain fog that they talk about, like
Yep.
after recovering.
Yep. Long hauler.
And it seemed to be like a lot of pressure, like in my ears. I kept thinking like I needed to get the wax out of my ears, but it just wouldn't ever clear.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. My equilibrium was off a bit as well. And I said, running into walls a little bit with my shoulder and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Not like falling over by any means, but just sort of when I was walking straight, I might kind of veer off a little bit. I think that was probably.
You were tired.
And I was tired. Brain fog
Yeah.
and just being like just generally just tired. And
Yeah.
kept saying I was dying. I don't know why, but I just kept thinking I was dying for some reason. So
Because
And
your
you have
body
to
knew it.
understand, when he got diagnosed, he lived in Monterey, California. We live in Visalia, California. It's about 2.5 hours
Yeah,
away,
3
about
hours.
2.5, 3 hours away. So he was working, 50, 60 hours a week during the week, driving to see us pretty much every other week, and then driving back and working. And so, hi, wife. Sorry, my best friend just came on. Hi, wife. So he was doing all that stuff with the brain tumor. Like, I can't even tell you the guilt that I had, like, after thinking about all the miles that he had been driving with that fucking tumor, and just thinking about, he could have been driving on these hills, and it gives me anxiety to like think about it. I really have to remove myself from that because it's neither here nor there. But he was working so hard. So of course you're tired. Of course you're tired, like, of course you're running into stuff. You're not sleeping very much. You're going here to there and doing this and that, and turns out no, he
Turns out
reason.
brain cancer.
Last
So that
time
was
we
a
ever
question. That was the question, was how did Brett, so that was well answered. So thank you. What time is it there? It's almost 1 a.m. in the UK. Oh my God, it's like mid-afternoon here. Poor you, you should go to sleep. So Brett just explained how he was diagnosed and the initial symptoms. And okay. And I have chewables. I can't smoke in my apartment building. Edibles are good, but they're just expensive. Like if I take 2 lbs of herb and we make cookies, right, Kathy? And the parents are into them. They're only lasting for 2 weeks for 2 ounces.
I don't take them though.
You don't like them, Kathy.
No, I don't.
But you used to
well,
like them.
and they metabolize different in your body. So the edibles come in and produce THCA, so metabolizes through your liver. So it's a very different, a different high too, I think, whenever you're having it like that. And it can change the paranoia. I think that sometimes like playing with not only strains, but your application is a big key in figuring out how to, if you just want to get high or whatever, just get high, but if you're actually trying to change symptoms or help something, you have to play around and see what that's what he used to do. He was a cannabis grower. He grew up at Monterey Kushco in Monterey. And so it was just so weird after all of this for him to have grown weed for 15 years and giving it to, selling it to the medical places, and now coming full circle of using it. And it's just, it feels very serendipitous. And that's what you need. You have to have reasons. And even if these reasons aren't real, if we can take them all together and piece together this like beautiful picture of what life actually is versus what we thought it was going to be, then that's what we should be doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. So anyway, so Kath was enjoying that, but no longer enjoys that. No longer enjoys wine.
No,
she's just pure, totally pure.
Yeah.
But we're looking at some supplements and things to add.
When your brain is betraying you, the last thing you need to do is inhibit it in any way sometimes, I think. And
it's not legal in Indiana, someone's saying. We're in Canada here, Beatlemania. So it's legal all across the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're in California, so it's legal.
Is it legal there? It's legal there, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Recreationally and medically.
Well, for me, it's recreation. Shrooms is good for any of it. There's interesting work around shrooms and mental health, actually. They're using it to
microdosing and stuff. Seems to be a really good antidepressant and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, there was this book. Are you familiar with Michael Pollan? He did this really good book on. Anyway, he wrote about what are they called, psychedelics, and how they can really be used positively in mental health. So they're coming up with all kinds of really interesting, creative ways to use them. I'm just looking through the comments here, but we should all be lucky enough to have caregivers like you. That's my fear. A lot of people are
well, we should all be lucky enough to have patients like ours, because I'm so grateful for Brett having the positivity that he has. My dad has health issues, and he is a hypochondriac, negative, just the grumpiest son of a gun you're ever going to meet. And Brett in the beginning, he was like, we were like, you're so positive. He's like, well, how else could I be? And I'm like, oh, trust me, there are other options that people take for sure. And, you know, I feel like you must feel the same way, Jean, because Kathy's just is such a light, even when she's sad or confused,
Yeah.
the pure, like love and
Yeah.
just innocence is there. And it makes you just want to protect and
Yeah.
you want to give care.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't do it if I didn't like her.
Yeah.
You know,
For sure.
No, because Georgia, it requires like it's a very hard job. It requires like you're on call, you know, and you need to be patient. You can't ever get irritable. And of course, I'm like one of those people that has like an always going inner dialogue, right? And it's always going like, "Fuck this, fuck you," you know, like left hand turn, you know. Shit, I missed it, like whatever, right? And I just can't stand it. But you have to cap it all. Yeah. And I don't get irritated with Kathy.
I'm having to learn that. That has been a challenge. You know, we're in a relationship and we have arguments and things like that. And so it's very difficult. It was very difficult for me in the beginning, and it's still I find challenging. We will have just like, say we're arguing about something and we just had a conversation. Well, you know, then he won't remember what we said. And
she makes the, I'm just kidding.
And that's very like, it's hard because you're like, you absolutely fucking did say, and then you don't want to be rude and be like, well, maybe I have brain cancer and you don't remember, because that doesn't really, you know, that's not helpful. Even if it is true, it's not helpful. And so it's hard to like step back and be like, you know, I'm a person too, and I have feelings too, but there's a shortcoming that he's not can control of. So I have to like learn to kind of not take it personally, I guess, as much.
Here's a question. Well, for one thing, all kinds of our, like poor Dub, we've got some commentators in here bemoaning the fact that they're not getting legalized. Well, there is mail, but anyway, well, we can take the law. Do you two take time? Do you take time for yourselves? Okay, I'll ask you, Georgia, you guys, that. Do you take time for yourselves?
So I feel like it's easier for me to take time for myself than it is for Brett, because I still have like things that I want to do or whatever. Like I kind of still have a normal life when I step away from this. I can drive my car somewhere if I fucking want to leave. And he can't do that. And I think that's hard when what can you do for yourself to get away from your brain?
Yeah, that's right.
There is no,
you know,
we all live in the vault of our own skull. Like that's where we live. Anyway, I was going to ask that to Kathy. Do you ever feel like, you know, that you need a chance to get away and just take some time for yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you do.
Yeah.
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 But most of the time it's her and me together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same.
Doing our thing.
Been watering the lawn lately.
Yeah, he goes out like an old man and stands out and waters our lawn and listens to podcasts. That's great.
It's something, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to look at the question.
Works,
I'm going to look at these again. So we do take time for ourselves, and I take time for myself too, to answer for myself. After losing my sister to this, I finally realized what my sister went through. After losing, do you mean from watching Kathy? Kathy does with her TV shows. He called you a TV star, Kat.
Who did?
Yeah. Kathy does with her TV shows.
Yeah, I do. And I'm like into crime and stuff like that.
She's into the dark.
Yeah,
you're into the dark side.
Dexter.
We're kindred spirits, doll. That's me too.
Sweet
I love
under. It's all good.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so part of our evil plan with this is our account is at 99.8 thousand followers.
I want to get you guys there.
I'm sick of it. I want to rip the Band-Aid off. I don't want to care. So every day I wake up and think, please. So we're doing lives. rip off the Band-Aid, like just get me there so you don't have to stress about this bullshit anymore. Love it, because we'll have it anyway. So lives apparently are a way that you can get followers, but they're also really fun.
Yeah,
what
no,
else?
it's
What else would you guys like to
super
talk
fun.
about?
Do
Like,
you,
here we are.
Kathy, I know that you're an amazing artist, and do you still do art? Like, do you find yourself still wanting to do that and being drawn to it?
Well, I did tons of mandalas, and I just give them away. So if you want to,
We're sending one to her daughter.
oh, perfect.
Yeah, her
Yeah.
daughter
She'll
is
love
an
it.
artist.
Yeah, that's
She'll love
great.
it.
Yeah.
So the Mandelas was really a passion for Kathy that lasted about 6 months
I think longer
Yeah.
than
or,
that.
or a year.
Yeah, it was about a year.
But
yeah.
then it fell away,
Yeah.
and it came with the Alzheimer's.
Yes.
It came with the Alzheimer's.
Yes.
It was actually a function of the Alzheimer's,
Yes.
which is super
Interesting.
interesting. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So people are
Yeah.
like, okay, so you know that song, you know Brooke, whatever her name was, the movie 10, where Bo Derek, where she's running, and you know the hair and the boobs, and okay, so the movie 10, the music that was playing in that movie was Ravel's Bolero. And Bolero starts off like with a slow orchestra, and it builds and builds and builds,
Yes.
adding layers like violins, everything to as until it builds this extraordinary crescendo.
Yes.
It's very repetitive, but it's beautiful.
yes.
Ravel had full-on dementia
Yes.
when he wrote
Right.
Bolero,
Yeah.
which is one of the classic, like the all-time best classical music song of all time. So Bolero.
Yes.
So I mean, so often with Alzheimer's or brain situations, other things will emerge as other things decline. So as verbal goes down, maybe color comes up, and that seems to be
Yeah. Yeah.
What
If
happened to
I'm
you?
looking for something, and I say, "What color is it?"
color has become more important for Kathy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
that is a
Uh-huh.
kind of a neat side effect of her Alzheimer's. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
looking at the questions now. First
I would
signs.
love to sell you give you a mandala.
She said sell because she's a
I-
businesswoman.
No,
we're giving you
like
a
that.
mandala.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to teach
Yeah.
that to Lily.
Yeah.
Kathy is absolutely beautiful. Yes, you are, Kathy.
Thank you.
What was your first sign you had this? We've talked about that before. It was mainly getting lost, confusion, anxiety.
Yes, I had so much anxiety. I was like wringing my hands like constantly, and it was pretty bad scene. And then Jean came and scooped me up, and
I saved your life.
yes,
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 I'm a hero.
yes, she's my
Yes.
hero.
How long did it take before you came in and got her, Jean? Before, like, what was the first kind of signs until you were like, "Hey, let's just do this
Okay.
together"?
It's a little story time. So
Yeah.
Kathy and I had been estranged for 10 years. Then we reunited. When we reunited, that would have been about 8 years ago. And she was at that time making comments about our memory, but we both were, we were doing stuff like we'd go in front of the mirror and we'd like do this and make ourselves look like we were 20 again.
You're like, "There you are."
Anyway, we were just having a blast. But something, like she was talking about memory quite a bit. And then, I knew something was wrong. It was a family visit. She went back. She came again to visit. I knew something was wrong. So I took a month off work. I went down to where her and her husband were living in this like little shitty town in Alberta.
Yeah.
They lived in this big cabin. It was dark. And
And
Kathy
it
was
had rats and bats.
and
Oh,
Kathy was
God.
playing mahjong endlessly on her iPad
Yeah.
for hours and hours.
Yeah.
I stayed a month, and I knew something was totally fucked.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was at the time. I wasn't really. I kind of knew, but I was hoping it was depression. Anyway, so
Yeah.
I came back, and then she didn't come back with me, but I talked her into coming
Yeah.
in October. It was.
Yeah.
She never left. Husband wasn't too happy, but he just didn't have any clue of what was going on.
He was a nothing
Yeah.
burger.
She came here. I hired her at my company. She lasted there 8 months. The Alzheimer's took over. And then I quit my job, and that is the story.
Yeah.
That's the story
Yeah.
of getting Kathy.
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah,
that crazy
so-
how you guys reunited?
It's crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Right
just
in
in-
time.
She's everything.
Just
to
in
me.
time. Yeah. Yeah. And it always would have gone that way. Like, even when we were sick, or when we weren't, like when our relationship was sick,
Yeah.
I got sick. I had kidney failure. And so Kathy's like really pissed off at me, but calling my mom and saying, oh, she can have my kidney, that bitch, if she needs it. So it was always there, just, yeah. I just want to look at some of
That's funny.
what people are saying. Kathy is absolutely beautiful. When we first, da-da-da. Jean, you and Kathy should do acrylic pouring. Yeah, we should go out Jackson Pollock. Jean, if you could, would you get a blood test to see if you'll get this disease? If that's a great question, and I would not. I don't want to know. That would no. I would not want to know. Nothing Burger Kathy says, NG Charlie.
Yeah.
And one of our old timers. Okay, so glad you came together again. How old was Kathy at the time? 52.
Yeah.
Back Alley Sally joined. Back Alley Sally has been commenting on our page. Okay, that's good. Nothing else going on. So yeah. So
That's my story.
if anyone has any questions, feel free to. We're basically here to entertain you. That's the thing that I learned.
We're
Do
very
a good-
entertaining.
To do a good live. Perhaps I should do that. No. Hello from Boston.
We'll get Brett too. We'll
Yeah,
let
yeah,
True the
I know.
lady. He's the one who's got things to offer.
You know how we could do it next time is we could do it that you guys invite us to your live, and then you guys. I've heard Alzheimer's is related to diabetes. Have you heard that? No, I haven't not heard that, but I'm sure that diabetes, like smoking, drinking too much, all these like ancillary health problems probably contribute. I'm not a
Yeah.
doctor, so I don't know. Yeah. I mean, like with glioma, like is it genetic? Do they know? Is it just random? Do they?
They've
have
got
any
so
idea?
many, different people who have different thoughts on it. Some people say it's not genetic, and then you get some families that have people that have 3 family members that have passed
Yeah.
that'll tell you.
I know
is
it's more in
absolutely
men. It's more in men.
Yeah,
Why would
it's a
that
lot more
be?
common in men.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I've been reading
like
up
I
on
was
it.
saying about the COVID thing, the GBM website that I'm on from Facebook, it's called GBM Survivors to Thrivers. And if anybody out there, if you're from Brain Cancer TikTok and you need a forum, that is the most amazing support system, because there are so many different schools of thought when it comes to treatment for brain cancer, because it's not treatable, or it's not
Yeah.
curable. And
Yeah.
so, they literally have people that take dog dewormer. It's Fenben basically, and it's the Joe Tippins protocol. You can go research it. And there's so many different schools of thought that having the anecdotal, situations and the anecdotal evidence that these people present, such a better thing than what the doctors say. Because I don't really think that the doctors know.
No. Yeah.
They don't.
They don't
No.
know. And it's
They
the same
don't.
with Alzheimer's. They have so little to offer us.
Yeah.
Like nothing. Okay, so I want to answer some questions here. Do you have to be with Kathy at all times outside the home?
Oh,
She walks the dogs, but we hang out because I drive. So she's with me
I
all the
always
time.
ask Brett.
Yeah,
I ask him, "Do
that's
you want
right.
me to drop you off at the shops or something?" And you go,
Yeah,
drop
yeah,
you
I
off
know.
somewhere.
Here's one from my grandmother. When we moved her in with us, she went downhill too. Well, Alzheimer's is progressive, so I don't like to look at it as downhill. I know what you mean, though. Like, no, I'm not offended or anything, but we're just looking as Kathy is changing.
It's
Holy
changing.
shit! I
That's
made the
exactly
live.
what
You made the
they
live.
feel.
Quarantine too long. She made the live. Okay, quarantine too long needs a new username, kids. Quarantine too long. She is passe. She is like, So I'm trying to come up with one for her. I was thinking like Vapid Vixen. I don't know. The coach of women's basketball team. Tennessee was an early onset Alzheimer's. Yeah, there's lots of early onset Alzheimer's. It's very rare. It's like 5% of Alzheimer's, but it's becoming more and more common. Can
How
you discuss
early does it have to be to consider early onset?
Under 60.
Under 60.
Under 60. Can you both discuss how it's been accessing help, like equipment, support groups, etc.? Kathy, can you talk about that?
not really.
Like there hasn't been much access to support
Yeah,
groups.
that's right.
You're getting tired, I can tell.
Oh, yeah.
You're kind of fading. Is there a difference in forgetting something and dementia? Yes, there is.
Yes.
One is forgetting something, and dementia is a whole pattern of like even
Different things.
Brett can talk about that too, like that brain fog feeling, Brett. It's not,
Yep.
it's different. It's weird.
Yeah, it's
Look
not
how-
just forgetting little things. It's a whole
Yeah.
the whole situation is gone.
Yeah. It's like, I like Kathy's description of mud because I think that's what it's like. It's like getting through the
Pretty much
gunk.
perfect.
Yeah, pretty much perfect.
Yeah.
Love how you take such good care of Kathy. You know what? Taking care of Kathy is so easy and it's so fun. And it's so fun.
We do. Yeah.
We just have a blast.
Yeah. We do everything together.
I think we're going to stop. I think this was great. I
I
loved
had
it so much.
fun.
Had a good time.
So much fun. And,
Yeah,
and you know,
yeah,
like,
something to look forward to today and everything. So
This guys
well,
really
it's
needed
just
this.
wonderful that
you
this
know?
happened. Love you so much. Everyone follow Gabbing with Glioma. You
Coming
won't
out
regret it.
yeah, coming out.
They're just so good looking. Like I have a total crush on Brett. And I
Well,
just
thank
know
you.
that if I was born in the 2000s, I would have a total crush on you, Georgia.
You know,
Total.
he
Might be
has
moving to
been
Canada,
hot
Greg.
like since day one. You know, he was always that jerk server, but he's so handsome and just
Yes.
charismatic enough to make you want to go back for more. And then
Absolutely.
so we worked together at Olive Garden for many years, and when he left, I was married, like, you know, I was with
Yeah.
somebody else, but when he left, I remember telling him, who the fuck is gonna laugh at stuff now? Because you give a bad joke or like you say something that you should not say, this guy's gonna laugh
Yeah.
at it.
I like
So,
when inappropriate.
he's
No,
beyond inappropriate.
I've caught that vibe, Georgia, muted though it is
Yeah.
on social media. I have totally caught that vibe. Yeah. And
Yes.
it's great to see and it will serve you both well. You know, in
Oh,
what
half
you're
the time I can't post it because I'm like, you babe, you can't say that. Like, you can't say that. What's wrong with you? He's like, oh, I'm like, oh
I didn't know
God.
she was recording.
Don't you blame that on the brain cancer because you'd have said that 13 years ago too, sir.
Exactly.
Well, we love you guys
It's like-
so much, and we will do this anytime you guys want.
Okay,
It's
that's
been an
fantastic.
absolute pleasure.
We're gonna do it again soon. We'll get better at them. And
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I
we
think we
will.
did a
We'll get
great
better.
job.
You did all right.
Okay. All right. Now I don't even know how
I'll
to
be more
sign off, but
confident.
I'll figure it out. Bye.
Yeah, it's same.
Thank
That's
you,
what I failed
everyone,
that
for
last
coming.
time.
Yes.
Bye,
Take care.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Talking.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.